presentations about frauds and scams that you have probably heard about, might not heard about, heard a friend talking about. As we go along, if you have a question, please ask it as we're talking. We'll talk it out. We've done this before, it works really well. If you guys are interacting with us, saying, hey, I've heard about this, what about this? That type of question. I've been in banking 31 years. I've been in the risk and compliance and fraud side for 20 now. Unfortunately, it ticks up every year, keeps getting more and more, and usually at least once a week there's some form of a fraud or scam that comes across my desk. Our staff has been trained to try and prevent it on the front line, but unfortunately, the scammers are telling you to lie to us, and that is defeating us trying to help you. Yes?
How come banks won't admit when they get fraud early? Like it takes 6 months, a year later when somebody admits that they got their bank or business got fraud, got hacked or whatever it is.
Hacking? That's completely different than this type of fraud. It's the same fraud, but it's different. A lot of the others, that type of like a hack or stuff like that, actually takes some time before it's discovered in the computer network, and then they've got to get their lawyers involved and everything else before they can announce it. This type of fraud, if we notice it on your account, we're calling you as soon as we discover it, because we want to try and stop it before you lose more money or lose any money at all. That is my number one goal, and their number one goals in the front line is to stop it before it happens to you.
One more.
Yeah.
How confident if I was a depositor of your bank, that if I got fraud, if I get taken by a fraudster, would I be able to get my money back?
Depends on the type of fraud. If you have withdrawn cash and left the bank, unfortunately, no financial institution is going to probably reimburse you for that. If it's a debit card fraud, there are rules and regulations that require us to reimburse depending on the situation, so that's a different type. But if you literally come in, take cash, withdraw a check, anything like that, once it's left, it's gone. Unless you stop yourself from either mailing it out or depositing it into a Bitcoin machine or something like that, once it literally leaves the premise, your chances of getting it back are nil. I won't say nil, but close to nothing. I have seen it happen, but it's extremely rare.
Gotcha. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah.
So we're going to go over a couple of different types of fraud, which kind of ties into the bingo that we just played. One of them, and one of the scare tactics, so a lot of the scare tactics is they tell you to lie. But one of them is through your computer, emails, anything like that. I don't know if you've heard, sometimes people click on something that pops up on their computer. When they do that, they're kind of opening up like a portal for scammers to get access to that, or they call you pretending to be like a virus protection. They say they like North Antivirus or something, or Microsoft is the big one that they'll say something's wrong with your computer, you need to call us. And then you get nervous, you call them, you're following directions, thinking you're doing something that you should be doing. We want to discourage you from doing that at all. Obviously you're not to click on things, but if someone's calling you and then they're asking you for information, then they kind of threaten you with information that they tell you that they found on your computer that may not have been there. And then they will give you instructions on going to withdraw money at the bank and tell you to lie to us. As Eric stated, the biggest takeaway that we want you to take from this seminar is when people at the bank ask you questions, please understand that we are there to protect you. We've seen all sorts of things. So even if you're told to lie, you need to be very truthful with the employees at the bank as to what the situation that is going on. That is the only way that we can protect you. Just like your doctor, you got to tell them the truth so they can help you. You got to tell us the truth so we can help keep your finances safe. Yes, ma'am.
How about when those texts call, they're usually from India, and they ask you if it's okay if they can go into your computer.
So that's a big no.
Well, I know because I've been a scam buster for 10 years. But that's what I just want to let them know.
Yes,
they will ask
anybody who says, can we go onto your computer? No. No, you're not gonna let them into your home, you're not gonna let them into your computer. I'm gonna give you an example. I had a customer, and all the stories we're gonna tell you are real life things that have happened. Some with successful saves and some with not. But I had a customer come into my branch. I've known this woman for years. And she came and went to my front line, wanted to withdraw, I think it was like $35,000. It was a lot. And said she needed it for home repairs. The staff member questioned, wanted it in cash. Staff member questioned, why do you need all this cash? And she said, I'm doing a bathroom renovation. And they thought that was funny. So they kind of asked a follow-up question. They brought the transaction to my attention. I brought her into my office. I asked her follow-up questions. She proceeded to tell me she had a contractor. She gave me kind of information, but I knew something was wrong. Like, I just had this feeling this wasn't right. I feel like she was not being truthful and forthcoming with me. And I noticed that the woman had her phone and she kept playing with her phone off to the side. And I asked her, do you have someone on the phone with you right now? And she said, no. And I've known her for years, so there's no reason for her not to trust me, but she said no. And I kept asking questions, and I went over, advising her that I felt like something wasn't right, and asked her again, do you have someone on that phone? And she looked at me, and then she went. So I immediately hung the phone up on her. So the person that was on the phone was the scammer, who told her to leave them on the phone so that they could listen to the conversation. So they listen to the conversation so that they know what we're asking. They're getting kind of ahead of the game. Okay, so after I asked her, got to the point, she ended up confessing to me everything that happened, and thankfully was able to save her from walking out with $35,000. So they told her to say that it was she was getting home repairs, when in truthfulness they were telling her that they found something inappropriate on her computer, which wasn't true, but that's what they told her. And so she got nervous and was now trying to do whatever they thought that she needed to do. So moral of the story is, you want to tell us the truth because it's really important. Had I not have maybe had that hunch, had I not known my customer that well and kind of kept asking questions and being nosy, as some people think that we are, she would have lost all of that money. So it's really, really important that you tell us the truth. But one of the ways they get you is through the computer.
I have another one.
Yes,
It happened to me. I went in the bank and I told the girl, I says, I want to deposit $50. And over here was her boyfriend, and they're gabbing away, and then she goes, where we going tonight? So I turned around, I checked my book. Instead of the deposit, she withdrew money from the bank, my bank.
Wow.
That's, you better check your books all the time, your receipts, your slips, everything.
Yep, you want to make sure you look for errors.
So, as Rita said, recently, within the last week and a half, one came across my desk at one of our branches. Customer came in again, looking to withdraw $15,000 cash, which was a substantial amount of money for them. Branch got a little weird because they noticed when they were coming in, the guy was stopped in the lobby, was talking on his phone, so they thought something was up, got him aside, and he once again was the same thing. He had got a pop-up on his computer. They called him, or he called. He was not forthcoming with information, but admitted that he was being scammed. We were able to stop it and saved him $15,000. Now, on the other hand, we have had customers who have lost $20,000 because they came in, said same thing. Usually they tell you it's for home repairs. They tell us it's for a home repair. Customer told us it's a home repair, left us, took it to a Bitcoin machine, put it in the Bitcoin machine. That $20,000 was gone, and there was no way we could get it back. The police departments can't get it back. I'm on groups in the area with law enforcement. Unfortunately, once it's in a Bitcoin machine, they can't even get it back, even with a search warrant and stuff like that, because trying to find the real owner is a pain in the butt for them.
I've never seen a Bitcoin, I've heard of them, Bitcoin ATM.
Yeah, Bitcoin, yeah, usually you'll see them at a convenience store.
Okay,
Typically is where you'll find them, is convenience stores.
so banks have not got into the Bitcoin business yet?
No, we have not, no.
Gotcha.
Yes,
So, they're really good at scamming you.
Oh, yeah.
With
Oh,
Bitcoin.
they're very good.
Because I was doing cryptocurrency, I only lost 4,000, but, they really make it so real, look so real, and I did take the money out of the bank and still, I gotta put it back in the bank. But they're really good at getting you for the crypto market. So
Yep.
don't fall for it, it looks so perfect and you can research it and it's like, it looks legit, the people look legit.
right.
But unfortunately, most of it isn't, so you really have to talk to people that are already successful, because I could never get my money back. I couldn't get it out. They're like, well, you gotta pay us this. I'm like, what?
So,
I'm just,
yeah, well, you mentioned paying this, so along with scams like that, a few years ago, we see this every once in a while, and you'll get one of our customers will get a phone call from a grandchild who has said they've been in a car accident. And they're asking you to pay their bill because they hit a pregnant woman in the car accident. They're asking you to pay their bill. And they're gonna say, well, you don't sound like little Timmy. Oh, because Timmy hit his nose in the accident, that's why he doesn't sound himself. If you ever get a phone call like that from a family member saying that they're in jail, hang up, call a different family member, or call them from the phone that you have saved, or call them and just check before you do that, because they were going to, once again, they were actually going to put into a box and mail $15,000 to bail out little Timmy in jail. So if someone calls and says, hey, little Timmy's been in an accident, rearing a pregnant lady, he's going to be going to jail, you need to send us $15,000. There's no law enforcement agency, attorney, or anything that's going to ask for money, Bitcoin, gift cards, none. IRS, none of those are going to ask for you legitimately to send them cash, Bitcoin, gift cards, any of that. That's not legit. They're never, ever, ever going to do it that way. They're going to send you a bill in the mail. Yes?
That almost happened to me in Florida. It was my grandson. I was convinced it was him on the phone, and I don't know what happened in my mind. I said, what do you call me?
Yep.
And
Very smart.
that was, they don't call me grandma. And so I told all my friends in Florida, get a secret name. Or
Absolutely.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yep. And I said, I don't know if people in the back, she said she had what I was talking about. Someone called, grandson
from Malaysia.
from Malaysia saying that it was in an accident.
No, that he was in jail.
Oh, he was in jail. And so she asked the scammer, what do you call me? And they gave the wrong name of what they call her. So she suggested and told all her friends, have a code word, something with that your family will know, but they won't know if they call looking for something. Yeah, and they're also now, we're getting down this rabbit hole, they're using artificial intelligence to fake voices too. So have a code word. Call them from a phone number that you know. Call a different family member and say, hey, did little Timmy get in an accident? Like, no, he's right next to me. Yes?
I had that happen to me, and the person on the phone said, this is your grandson. And I said to myself, my grandson would say, this is Brett.
Yeah,
Right. Exactly.
So
Just,
I hung up.
yep,
Good,
very smart.
Good for you.
Did you guys have a question back here?
No, I just, was gonna mention that they can, with AI, they
Yep.
can,
Yes.
it
Oh,
can
yeah.
sound like the person that
Oh,
you're
right.
used to.
That's
Yep.
In fact, I knew someone that, it sounded like her son or something, and it wasn't.
Right.
So that's a little scary.
I have, if you have a computer with a camera on it and it has that little hole, cover it.
Yep, some of them you can cover it, some of you need paste tape, some of them have a little slider, you can slide over it to shut your camera off, because if they've hacked into your computer, they're gonna have access to that camera and they're gonna be able to see what you're doing.
Sir?
I had a big thing the other Monday that I had a job done, and it was a good amount of money. And I gave them a check and I said, can we go to the bank and cash it? I says, yeah, go ahead. And the bank called me before and
Yeah.
said, somebody's here. I
Yes.
says, okay. So I did, yeah.
Yeah, so with that being said, a few years ago, and it's still very prevalent, it's called the felony lane gang. So what they'll do is, they'll come in from an area, they'll see a person, a vehicle, they'll smash the window, take the ID and everything out of the thing. They'll steal somebody else's check from the similar thing. They'll see, all right, well, Yaneli here has a bank account at Lowell 5, take her ID, we'll make a, fake ID with this person's picture, take a check, go to the bank, see how much is in the account, and then cash a check against that. So we were hit with that 8 or 9 years ago. We developed a policy where we call customers now when they come in to present a check over a certain amount of money to verify that you actually wrote that check to that customer. Some people love it, some people hate it, but it has worked and has prevented losses to the customers by just that simple step of calling, on us calling out to you, being, hey, did you write this check to Joe? Oh yeah, I did. Okay, you did it? And as soon as that hang up, by the time we turn around, usually they're running out the door, and there's nothing we can do because they usually are just scooting and running away.
Doesn't know just have to do something. That they created a fake ID.
Yeah, fake ID. The other thing is scammers are now faking not only driver's license, they're faking passport ID cards. So what they're doing is they're giving the fraudsters, taking in a passport ID card, coming in, saying they're, me, to withdraw funds from a business account or cash a check on the business account, and now that's a red flag. So if anybody comes in with a passport card, they're getting more scrutiny because, not many people carry a passport card around for an ID. Your driver's license typically or a state issued ID. You're not carrying around a passport ID for identification. Mailboxes? All right, yes, go ahead.
I busted a TD Bank North next to my house. When you put your money in to have them pay some bills that come in,
Yeah.
I kept getting overdrawn. They were taking money out of me like I didn't have it in there. So I went and I spoke with the manager, and I said to her, what do you do? I said, do you pay the bills first and then put the money in, or do you put the money in and then pay the bills? She goes, oh no, she says, we pay the bills first. I said, well, when do you put the money in? She goes, oh, whenever we have time. I mean, my daughter got over $1,000 check back from that bank because they were doing that to her, and they were doing that to everybody. And, but I didn't get a check back because I was going there all the time to get it changed. And I spoke to the bank manager up in Vermont or New Hampshire somewhere, when I let him know somebody stole a check out of my book and wrote it and cashed it. I says, I'm in here almost every day. You know what I look like. You have my signature. And they're supposed to report that to the main office, and they didn't. There's a lot of bank stuff too you gotta watch.
Yeah. So with that, you brought up checks, which brings me to another one. How many of you still mail checks in the mail? All right, and write checks. All right. So all those pens that I gave, we handed out earlier. Those are ink gel pens. So those pens are fantastic when you're writing checks because those pens actually bleed into the paper of the check, which prevents the scammers from taking the ink off the check and changing the amount, changing the payee to something else. So they cannot take a gel point pen that once it's been signed, it sinks into the ink, sinks into the paper of the check. Versus if you take a regular ballpoint pen, there's chemicals out there, they'll wipe the amount off, they'll wipe the name off, and they'll change the payee, change the amount, send it through the system, go to a different bank, cash it. But with the gel pens that you were all given today, those will prevent that type of fraud. For those that mail your checks, how many are using those blue boxes on the corner?
No.
No.
I only mail one check a month to my rent.
Yep.
But I put a piece of paper over my check inside the envelope.
Yeah. So those blue boxes that everybody used to love putting their mail in for checks, don't. Because the scammers, if you have not heard, what they'll do is they'll take a water bottle or anything like that, cover it in rat glue, stick it through the slot, go down, and pick the mail out of the thing. They're looking for checks that they can do what I just described. Wash them, cash them, counterfeit them, and send them on the way. That is prominent around this area big time. So those blue collection boxes have, the postal is trying to upgrade them to having teeth on them, slots and teeth and like that. But another problem is, and you probably have seen it on the news, is they are now robbing the postal carriers for their key to get into the boxes. So if you're mailing checks, we try to advise you to go to a post office, mail it there, or hand it to the postal carrier themselves. Because unfortunately those blue boxes, and I have friends in postal, they'll tell you they don't use them because it's just ripe with fraud, because they're now stealing the key and then counterfeiting them, selling them on eBay or black market and stuff like that, or they're literally just going in and literally fishing the mail out of the box with a bottle with duct tape or something like that.
So
What-
that's to learn to do digital, to go straight to the bank, to stay through whatever you're paying, as long as you know who you're paying.
Yep.
Correct?
You mean talking like you talking like going electronic payments?
Yeah.
Yeah, electronic payments, safe, online bill pay, if you're comfortable like that, sending electronic like that, but if you still have to do a traditional check, you can do it, but help yourself by using a gel pen, taking the check and mailing it to the post office, that type of thing. And we'll just help you guys save the loss down the line for yourself.
One more thing.
Yeah.
If you have cleaning people and you have checks somewhere, hide them, because that happened to me. That
Yep.
Somebody took one of my checks and signed it, and it didn't even look my handwriting or anything, but the bank was good about it.
Yeah, she's right, correct. If you have someone come in your house to help you clean, home health aid, stuff like that, she's right. Put the checks away so they can't find them, because unfortunately, we all know there are bad people out there that will like to take that check and get a quick cash before you even know it out there. I mean, we do have software on our platform that does look for signature irregularities and check stocks that doesn't match. So we do have, there's technology out there that we are employing that has caught a lot of that stuff, but they still get by.
I know another thing that we want to talk about is the impersonator scams, and I know Eric talked a lot about that. Social Security is never going to call you, the FBI is never going to call you, the IRS is never going to call you. If any of these entities call you saying that they need information or that your direct deposit is not going to go into your account, just hang up the phone. It's not true. And if you have any doubt that it is them, then call the number that you know from a letter that they send you. And then go to the bank if you have any questions. The bank is there to help you. It doesn't matter how you think, I'm done. No, don't feel bad. We're not gonna be there to judge you. We're gonna be there to help you. Another other thing is lottery scams. I'm sure you guys heard of those. You get them in the mail. Or if you guys sell things on like eBay, a lot of times they send you checks in the mail saying, I sold a purse for, $200, and then they send you a check for $1,500, and they're like, because you're so amazing, only send me back this amount. You don't do that. Immediately you short the check, or you can always bring it to the bank and we can look at it for you. Sweetheart scams, it's huge. I had a customer, I used to work in Lowell before, and I had a customer, and it just broke my heart. She had met somebody online, they were in a relationship, she never met this person in person. And he had said that he has some business that he wanted to create and all these wonderful things, and he needed $80,000 to start a business. And unfortunately, she wired the funds to this person, and it was her life savings, $80,000. So when she came to us, unfortunately, it was just too late, and there was nothing we can do for her. And she was so embarrassed for her family, because now she was penniless. So it was very, very heartbroken. So if you guys, you know, I know they brainwash you really, really good. So if you have any doubts, come and ask anybody. You know, if you have a good relationship with your banker, like Constance here has a great relationship with me, come and ask or call anytime and ask, you know, anything, and we'll be there to help you.
So as you see, there's a lot of different tactics that they use to try to get you to make rash decisions, right? So you are hearing these stories now and you're thinking, I would never fall for that. That sounds so unbelievable. How did they even do that? Right, hindsight is 20/20, but I think we all know that when you're in the middle of something, especially say someone calls, they pretend to be one of your loved ones and they've been hurt or they're in this situation, I think we all kind of lose our processing skills a little bit. You just want to kind of go into action and save this person or help. Or they say that they found something on your computer that is, you know, inappropriate, as they would say, or in nature, whether it's true or not. You get panicked, like, oh my gosh, what are people gonna think about me if they're going to tell people? Sometimes they will tell you that someone at the bank is stealing your money, so that's been a recent one. Someone at the bank is stealing your money, don't trust them, don't tell them anything. So the thing to keep in mind in all of this is that you are in control because you have the phone. You can easily just hang up the phone and stop this from escalating. You have control because you can go to your bank and ask questions and tell them the truth and ask for help and say, listen, I was presented with this, something just doesn't seem right. And ask people who are, this is our job, we're trained in all of these. Eric does a great job getting information to us about things that he sees that comes across. But unfortunately, Janelle, myself, Derek, and everyone within our branch network, we see these things on a daily basis. So the people that we help, they are not uneducated. Many of them are very well educated people. They're not dumb, there's nothing wrong with them. They just got caught up in something. So it's really important not to feel any shame. But if at any point when you're taking these conversations or you're in this situation, if you're being told to lie, the big red flags that we want you to kind of take away with you is, like we tell our kids, like, you know, if someone's telling you to lie, that's not right. So we gotta remember those things again. If someone's telling you to lie, that's not right. If someone's putting fear in you, that's not right. You need to bring that up. If someone's like trying to rush you to make a decision, they're like, you don't have time, you gotta hurry up and do this. If they're trying to like stop you from processing what's going on, that's not right. That's a big red flag. So you need to kind of remember, even though it's hard to take a breath and go, stop and think for a second, what is going on? And do I need to tell someone? And it is important that you either come to the bank or you tell a loved one, someone, a friend, you need to tell someone so that that way help can be brought to you. We can kind of talk through the situation. A situation that I had actually when they were talking about the impersonation scams, a gentleman came in, rushed to get cash, $8,000, and same thing, the daughter needed money, thought she was in jail. He was rushed, and I said, I don't think this is right. And he was very upset with me. And I said, I need you to call your daughter. And he looked at me like I had 4 heads, and he's like, what don't you understand? She's in jail. And I said, just to shut me up, can you please just do this for me? And he called her, and she picked up the phone. And he said, I don't know her name, but he said, Sally? And she goes, yeah. And he goes, you're not in jail? She goes, I'm driving to Walmart. What are you talking about, you know? And it sounded just like her, according to him. So he was rushed. He was trying to help his daughter. All these things. So it was really important that he was kind of telling me the story. But we thankfully have the experience to help prevent any loss. So just remember those things. Fear, lies, or telling you to rush, those are your red flags. And immediately hang up and you can come down and see someone at the bank and just know that we are there to help you and protect you. And even if we're not your banker, even if Lowell 5 isn't your bank, I welcome you, we all welcome you to come in and see us if you feel comfortable, because now you know Janelle. And you're like, I remember her from the presentation, she's not my banker, but I go, please go in, she's gonna be happy to help you, and we're happy to help guide you. You know, give us a call, come see any of us. I'm in Dracut, you're in Haverhill, so come see any of us. We're happy to help you. Please tell your friends about these things that you've learned. We have that information, so review it. It's really important that we kind of spread, and I know a lot of you shared some experiences, so thank you so much for being so open about things that you have gone through. But it's really important to tell your friends about things that you've gone through as well, because they might be too shy and embarrassed to kind of admit to something. So it's really important that you kind of speak up. Yes.
About romance scams,
Yes, ma'am.
you have to be careful, if you make up profiles for dating sites or
Yes.
Facebook or anything, be careful what you put on there, because if you put you're lonely, you're divorced, you're giving them a hint to hit on
That's
you.
right.
I mean,
Well, that
it's
is
true,
true.
that's what they do.
That is true.
And then, what you see in front of you as their picture is not them.
Yeah, so just because something's a picture, that's actually really important, thank you. On Facebook, I don't know how many of you connect through your family on Facebook, right? I'm sure a lot of you guys do, and great social connection and keep with people. It's really important that you understand when you get messages. Sometimes you get those messengers through messengers. You're really careful, and with the romance scams. Just because it's a picture doesn't mean it's real. Unfortunately, technology is great and it's not great. And the not great part is it can make anything look like anything, right? So just because the picture looks like this handsome gentleman that's sitting there, it might not be. We don't know. It could be someone just trying to woo their way into get to your bank account.
Oh, they could have stolen it from another profile.
Or they steal it from someone else who might be a real person, right? They steal these pictures. So we have to kind of really slow down and, I hate to say it, but kind of really think like, what's going on here for a second, and not be so trusting, which is a terrible way, but you kind of have to put that little extra thought. Yes.
And caller ID.
Yes,
Remember,
thank you.
they gotta
Caller
say
ID.
that caller ID,
Yes.
phone number or somebody you know.
Great, that's a great point. So a lot of us will judge on whether we pick up the phone or not. Of caller ID, but sometimes the caller ID comes in and we're just gonna say it's the Lowell 5. The Lowell 5 says Lowell 5. Rita's calling me and I say, hi Mrs. Smith, this is Rita from the Lowell 5. There's a problem with your account. I really need to verify some information. You're like, I know Rita from the Lowell 5. So you go, sure Rita, and then you're gonna, Mrs. Smith, I think you bounced a check. Can you please give me your social security number, because I need to know that it's you. I can tell you, as a banker, I have my customer social security numbers in front of me. I'm never gonna call them and ask them for it, because I've called you, right? I'm never gonna call you, anything that they call and ask you for, you should not be disclosing information to someone who calls you. No account numbers, no social security numbers, no birthdays, no, like, don't give them any information. We have everything, but needless to say, you can't believe the caller ID. It's not always accurate. They are able to change that information to say Lowell 5, and it might not be coming from the Lowell 5. And then if you hang up and you call that number back, you don't want to call the number that says on the caller ID. As Janelle had said, you want to call the number that you know is true. So the caller ID might say 978-123-456, and it says Lowell 5. You're not going to call that number. You're going to call Lowell 5's number, which is 978-452-1300, because that's the number that you know is the Lowell 5 number. And then you're going to be like, Rita, did you call me? I'm going to say, Mrs. Smith, I didn't call you. Your account's just perfect. Thank you very much. Did you give out any information? No, I did not. Perfect, you're an excellent customer. So it's really important that you don't use the caller ID as your method of verification of identity of who's calling you. Sounds counterintuitive to what the point of caller ID is. It is. It really is. It's counterintuitive to what it's supposed to be, but that is unfortunately another way that they've been able to kind of use something that we use for one way and get it to benefit them. So please make sure you don't use caller ID to identify and believe who's on the phone.
Yes.
What is your bank's process if one of your customers is issued a fraudulent check and tries to deposit it?
And meaning, like, so if you had a fraudulent check and you brought it in.
You've sold something on eBay, you get a check and it's bad, you go to deposit it, then what?
So, say you deposited into your account, did you take the money out? I'm playing out the scenario, have you let the money stay in there, or did you take the money out?
I'm receiving.
Correct, so you received the check, you deposited it into your account.
Yeah.
And you haven't done anything.
Have you taken the funds out of from that check, have you taken it out of your account, or have you left it in your account?
Usually the bank will state that
It
the
takes
fraudulent check.
It depends on
Couldn't be passed.
totally depends on the situation, because the banks can hold a check for up to 2 to 5 days, depending on the situation. If you have not withdrawn the funds, and the check comes back as fraudulent, we'll just take it out of your account, move on, be like, hey, your check was fraudulent, that's it. Now, if you have come in and withdrawn the funds from your account, and the check comes back, we will then be coming looking for payment, because we gave the funds to you in good faith. Any bank is gonna come looking for the funds, even if it's a fraudulent check you deposited, any bank is gonna come back looking for those funds to be returned.
And there's a fee for that.
Yes, the state of Massachusetts fee for returned items is
$35.
No,
So
so
that's
that's
a
a,
bank.
it depends on the bank.
depends on the bank.
Some of them charge 20.
So a check that you deposit, Massachusetts has a cap on it, it's like $6 or $6.36, something strange like that. The state sets that fund, that amount every year. The insufficient item fund, if you're over 65 in Massachusetts, that is a $5 fee, because that is a state law, Commonwealth law, so that's a $5 fee. But if you're under 65, or maybe between 18 and 65, that can vary from bank to credit union.
And then does that become a police matter?
The fraudulent check can become a police matter if we will try and work. If you come in and say we fraud, I will try and work a payment plan out with you. If you say I can pay, say the check was $1,000, and you say I can pay you $50 a month till it pays off, we will work with you. We won't go to the police. But if you just completely say take that money and run, yes, we will contact the police and go that way.
No,
But
but
are
what
you
happens to the
referencing-
person that wrote the
That's
check?
what she's talking
The person writing the check, that
about. Situational.
it's situational, but that becomes, at that point, it becomes the police department's.
It does.
Exactly, and unfortunately, a lot of depending on the police department, they may investigate it, or they may just be overwhelmed and not,
Well, I have gone to court.
yeah, exactly.
And the
And so have
police-
I,
and
for the bank.
the police actually bring the person that wrote the check.
Yes, if they can find them, yes, they will,
Yeah.
yeah. I've been there too, I've been on the bank side of it going to the court, yes, it's a fun day sitting in Lawrence District Court,
It is.
it's so much fun.
If you go in and you bring a check in and you don't think it's good, you can ask the cashier if the check is good, because they have numbers that they check with on the bottom of that check.
Yes, that is only partially correct, because you could literally have a check with the correct routing number, the correct account number, and the person hasn't known the check has been stolen yet out of that account. So we could, we could say the routing number matches, it matches Lowell 5, Lowell 5, but it might not until it reaches, well, it's tough saying Lowell 5 because we're a sub, but reaches the other bank. We won't know that check is bad until the other bank says, hey, no, that's back, and sends it back through the system.
But you should always bring it to our
Us, yes.
attention to talk about it, so that we can find out where you got.
Sorry. If you have suspicion that you've received a check that is fraudulent, or for some, whatever, has a story behind it, besides the fact that it's just your regular check, you have any suspicion or questions on it, it's always important that you see someone at the bank, so that way we'll ask you some questions, so that way we can kind of understand the origin of the check, so that we can find, we'll be able to guide you a little bit better. All of those things are very situational. that would kind of lead into possibly some people receive like lottery scam checks. We all remember Publishers Clearinghouse, Ed McMahon, God rest his soul. We would have a lot of people who sometimes receive checks saying, "Congratulations, Mary, you won $5 million from the African lottery." No, you didn't, because you didn't enter the African lottery. So, Mary, don't come in with the check. No, so you didn't get that check. That's not a real check. Sometimes could be something like, "Oh, you won this lottery.
You gotta send out
You gotta send us a payment for the taxes." Of course you do. So you wanna make sure that if you get those, even if you think it sounds kind of far-fetched and you're not really sure, but you're just like, maybe this is right, you wanna make sure you just bring that into us. We'll look at it. Most of us can kind of look at it and go, "No, Mary, I'm sorry. We're not doing anything with this. You didn't win. Good, yeah, sorry." So you do want to make sure that you present that to us. We have a lot of experience in those situations as well, so.
What about checks that car dealers and everybody was sending out in the form of a check?
She must be the original pigeon.
So some of those are for like warranty things or different kind of things they're trying to get you to sign, to then to buy a car or to get into like a contract of something or some sort of product. You want to make sure before you sign and put them in the check in your account that you come see someone at the bank, so that we can kind of, with the letter that it came with or whatever, so that we can kind of read through it and say, this is really what you're doing with this check. It might be $7, but what you're gonna get out of this is you're gonna owe whatever. You're getting into this service, and you rightfully went into it because you signed and negotiated that check. So it's important to protect yourself against that.
You have a question?
As of late, the home programs, the companies that are like, "Oh, just give us so much money and then we'll do this, this, and this, and a contract, and this is what we offer you," and then when you go to say, "I need something fixed," you're screwed.
Yeah, we've had a couple of customers have fallen for that one, unfortunately. No one's gonna come up to your house and be like, "Hey, I wanna fix your porch, I'll give you $2,000, you give me $2,000, I'll fix your," no, I can patch your driveway right now, just, give me $3,000, I'll patch your driveway. No, don't, it's your money, you've worked for it, protect your money, we're here to help you protect your money, it's your money, it's not the scammer's money. Just if someone comes up, it sounds too good, the old saying, if it sounds too good to be true, it's not true. It still applies.
But I'm talking about these online ones.
Yeah.
Choice warranty, same as.
So like the warranties and stuff like that online? Yeah, don't. Yeah, I know, the pop-ups are miserable. Pop-ups stink. You get pop-up blockers, they help.
Well, pop-up, but, people talk about, the American insurance. There's about 5 of them out there.
Yeah.
And sometimes they work well, but most of the time they don't.
Correct. Yeah, unfortunately. Yes.
I'm really impressed with all of you, I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And the thing that's impressing me is that you seem to take a personal interest in your clients. Does this
100%.
happen because you stay at the same bank? That you're not transferred from bank to bank?
So, I started 31 years ago as a teller. I worked my way up to an assistant manager before I moved to the, as they would say, the evil side of back operations, and started in compliance, and then I moved myself over to risk and security. And I've been doing that for 15 years. So I've been with Lowell 5 for 31. Rita's roughly 28, 10 years, and Derek is 4. So, yeah, I mean, when I was in teller, I jumped all around, so I went to all the branches, and I've been here ever since. And anybody in my department knows, the one thing that pisses me off most is elder fraud. That comes across my desk, and they know it. I will try my best to get everything I can to try and get your money back if it's left, but unfortunately, as I stated when I started, usually once it's left our building, there's not much we can do, unfortunately. I mean, I will work with elder services, like they were saying, if you want to come talk try, if you're embarrassed talking with us, call Elder Services of H-SPAN, they're in Lawrence. They will help talk with you. There's plenty of other services. If you're embarrassed and don't want to come talk to the bank, call H-SPAN. They will send somebody out to talk to you and help you. Just another avenue if you're, don't want to talk to your bank.
I started with you when I thought you were Warren 5, then we returned back from Florida, and luckily Linda then was
Yep.
down the road.
Yep.
And she was the teller then, and so that's why I stayed with Laura.
Yep.
I just kind of wanted to talk in regards to what you said, and thank you so much for such a nice compliment with that. Many of the staff members that we have at Lowell 5 are, we call them lifers. We've been there forever. We've probably been there more than half our lives. We are called like the relationship bank, and we really do take our customers. We've kind of, being there so long, we're seeing now generations of customers, so they started coming in and now they're bringing in their kids and stuff. So we really do get to know our customers, and that's really, really important to us. So build a relationship either with us or with your own personal bank. But it's really, really important to us. So we do take it very seriously, not just because it is our job, but we care for the customers that we have. Everybody has worked hard for their money. It is our job to protect it, and it's our job to educate the customers that we have. So it is really important, and that is something that you'll find across all the branches at Lowell 5. Not just the three of us. We just got lucky, and we kind of are together and have done this. And we've done this at another senior center, at the Drake Senior Center. So we're going around, and Derek will be doing one as well. But that is something that is just the Lowell 5's motto. We are just a community bank that really cares about their customers. So that is why it's important to us to kind of spread this, to educate you, and then you can maybe educate other people that you come across, and if they need further information, they can come to the Lowell 5 as well.
I have a quick question
Yeah.
about debit cards. Can you tell, sometimes they scam, when you scam, you get scammed. I mean, they take the money. I just want to know about that.
Well, I actually had a personal experience that just happened to me right before Christmas. I had my account at the bank for many, many years, same debit card number. However, because I do online banking, I set up alerts. So anytime there's a transaction that happens with my debit card, I get an alert saying, hey, Janelle, you just did a debit card at Target for $50 or whatever it is. So I know, obviously it was me. So I was sitting on my desk, it was the end of the day, and all of a sudden he said that I bought some wings at some place in Texas. I'm like, okay, for $103. I'm like, well, by the time they get here, they'll be cold, right? So immediately, because like I said, being in the office, immediately I actually called somebody else because I was the only supervisor at the time. And because I have online banking, I was able to block my card immediately. And then it was the end of the day, people already went home. So the next day I called and I said, hey, I got fraud, working at the bank, I got fraud. So immediately they opened a case. They were able to see that obviously I did not do the transaction. There's a form we have to fill out saying that you had some fraudulent activity. And then I got provisional credit the same day until they do the investigation. The investigation can take a couple weeks or longer, but you are protected as long as the bank can identify it as seen as fraud.
How much do you suggest you leave in a debit card money-wise?
On your debit card, if you actually, as Janelle was saying with online banking, and my daughter has it too. She's in college, so when she's at college, she actually turns the card off, because there's the ability online to just shut it off while she's not using it. So she goes to the store, she turns it on, uses it, shuts it off, helps block it. If not, you could actually create a separate account that's just for your debit card. So say you go grocery shopping every week and it's $75. Keep $100 in that account, make your purchase. You can do it that way. But debit cards, unfortunately, depending on the bank's max, if you have a lot of money in there and you don't notice it, it's going to go out. But as Janelle was saying, there's federal regulations that require provisional credit to be given to you. And then it's up to 90 days to investigate to give you final credit. But if it's a true fraud, you're going to get that money back. They can get your debit card number anyways. I mean, online banking, not online banking.
Question about safety as checks, which in this day and age is safer?
Honestly, online banking, because most of the payments you can send, it'll be electronic and be gone, you won't even write a check. I mean, the only check I write now is, I don't know if I do, so my kid's school for funds for school, that's about the only thing I write checks for right now is for high school. Yes?
How safe is banking electronically by your computer?
So if you have like your utilities and things pulled from automatically from them, that's a great way. You can do that. Have National Grid, Comcast, whatever. They can automatically pull your bills. Saves you the price of a stamp, right? I think they're like 75 cents now or something. And then you don't have to worry about mailing in your check. But electronic banking, in my opinion, is very, very safe. The thing that you want to make sure of is that you're not clicking on links and things of that sort. So it's really on how you're using it. So if you're going online, you're careful on how you're protecting your computer, your iPads. You're not clicking on things on emails that say, stop the package, it's supposed to come here, click this. You're not doing that. It's really the user that has a full protection of their device. You really want to be careful. So if you use online banking and you're clicking on everything and you're letting viruses come in, you're letting people call you and take over your computer, it's not going to be safe. Not because online banking's not safe, it's just the way that your computer is being used isn't being used in a responsible, safe manner. But online banking itself is very safe. You have a password, you have security questions, some of them have dual authentication. There's all sorts of things that are put in place to make sure that when you go in, that it's you. And if it's something you're exploring and you're not sure, you can always come in, we can give you a little demo. We can start off just so that you can just look at your account. You don't even have to do a bill payments or anything like that, just so that you can look at it. So it's something that you can try, and then if you don't like it, it's not a tattoo, it's not there forever, so you don't have to use it, you know, so you don't have to worry about that.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry, this one, we'll get to the other, yes.
I'm just asking about PayPal. Is it safe to be using that? I use that when I buy PayPal.
PayPal has gotten safer now that they have two-factor authentication for your account. So, you know, when I log on, they send me a text message to my phone. So PayPal has gotten safer, which brings me to the question I was thinking was, Rita was talking is no one's ever going to ask you for a code to get in. If they're calling you asking for a code to get into something, don't give them that code. They're just trying to fake you to get into, take your money that you have earned. So, yes, PayPal, now that the fact they've gone to two-factor authentication, is pretty safe.
But then you have to put in that code.
Correct, you yourself have to put in that code.
If you would call me for it.
Yeah, you do not give that code to them. We'll go up front first, yes?
I wanted to tell you a story along the same lines, but a little twist. I got a check in the mail one time for just under $10,000 from the IRS as a refund on my taxes. But I knew I did not have that coming, so I went right over to the IRS, and it turns out that somebody had, using my information, had filed my taxes, and they requested the refund to be mailed, put in their bank. Now, since they don't send it to a bank, they only send it to your home, it came to me, and that's what set it off. Wow. But that was like a reverse thing.
Yeah,
Yes.
correct.
Yes.
Do you have a question?
Yeah, I use my computer only for online banking and for, I write, and I just do my writing, it doesn't go anyplace else except, you know,
Yep.
except to my printer. Am I falsely safe or am I safe?
If you're literally using it only for online banking and to publish, that's actually,
I use my iPad and all that stuff.
yeah, that's excellent, because a lot of people will say, you'll see experts out there saying, use your online banking, have a specific device that you use for that, so that's perfect the way you do it.
So that's, I'm not,
Yes.
I'm not,
Very protective.
Very protected.
not delusional.
No.
just a share a thought.
Oh, of course.
We're all using phones.
Listen, I have the withdrawal scheduled to when I
Hi. We're all using phones, computers. One thing we need to be very conscious of is make sure you update those devices.
Correct.
When there's a software update. There's no guarantee that it updates automatically, even though it says it does. Take the time weekly just to look to update it, because the companies like this one do a lot of security holes, a lot of things, and update the software when things are caught. So, just an FYI.
Yep.
I've noticed lately they say you can pay something by Venmo. What is that exactly?
Venmo is a similar thing to PayPal. It's a electronic, basically you take money out of your like Lowell 5 account, put it in your Venmo, and then you just pay stuff that way. I have it, but I very rarely use it. I mean, I don't, it's a similar thing to just send money to somebody else. It is susceptible to fraud.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other? Yes?
Explain that further. How is it susceptible to fraud? I mean, I use it only with 3 people that I know.
Oh, yeah, that's...
So what's the piece that you should watch out for?
Well, it's like anything. Someone could, what was that there? Yeah, you want to take it? Jump in.
Your phone can get hacked. So if your phone gets hacked, they'll get all the information, your bank account, your friends, they'll go back and forth, they can send a request
So
out.
it's not Venmo, it's the phone security that you have to worry about.
Exactly.
Oh, with Venmo. The one thing with Venmo, I don't know if you've heard, is that if someone sends you money and then tells you to send it back because they sent it by mistake, just know that that's not
Any
something.
requests or any,
Okay, perfect.
those things. No, ignore.
Yep.
Exactly,
Or an
perfect.
email that says Venmo has this, and you go to Venmo, it's not there.
Right, exactly.
Yep.
So unless we're gonna end up wrapping it up and.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're, yes, sir.
Just a quick question.
Of course.
Of all these scams that you're
Very
involved with,
simple.
you said that you're involved with them almost on a daily basis. How many of them actually result in a prosecution of the criminal?
How many of them resulted in a prosecution? Oh, that's all right.
Honestly, very few.
Yeah.
Because the amounts required for the District Attorney's Office of Massachusetts on the federal level to take prosecution, I have been told, is $250,000. At least a loss of $250,000 before the DA's office in Massachusetts will take it. Your local police department can try and go, but it's a matter of trying to find the person that committed the fraud. And unfortunately, if it's somebody overseas, North Andover PD is not going to be able to get them. But if it's somebody that cashes a check locally that was stolen off your account, your chances are good that they're going to be able to find the person and prosecute. So it totally depends on the scam, but the process, at least with us, when we see it, it's low.
So there's very little deterrent, and this is just gonna get worse and worse.
Unfortunately, with
Yeah.
technology.
With technology, it is getting worse and worse, and as Rita says, I send out notifications because I'm on so many different fraud groups with banks and retailers and law enforcement. When I see something that we haven't seen, I'm sending an alert out to the branches being like, hey, keep your eyes out for this is happening in our area. But it's like whack-a-mole. As soon as you whack one down, 3 more are popping up. And it's a completely different scam every time. They're always, if they just put their brains to use for good,
Yeah.
it'd be better, but they're going the evil route with it.
Fast money.
Are you saying not to put too much money in your checking account?
Ideally, yes, because if you have a savings account, you're gonna earn more interest for yourself anyways. If you know you're only gonna be using, say, $500 a week in your checking account, yeah, I would not keep more than what you are gonna reasonably use in however often you go to the bank. I would say, I would keep no more than what you're comfortable with. Say you use, like I said, $500 every 2 weeks, keep that money in there, for that. But, yes,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
So back to this discussion that
Yeah.
we're having. If we're scammed somehow, that's a violation. That really, we're all angry about this.
Yeah, also, trust me.
So we are.
So what do we do? It says report it. how do you report it? How do you pursue the criminal?
That's a tough one. So we will, if you have been scammed, we will encourage you to go to your local police department, file a police report, and go from there. If it's a wire scam, if you've sent something off from wires, there's a federal website, ic3.gov, that you can put that information in, or we can do it for you, where they keep track of all the wire fraud, and then the government compiles databases and tries to go after them. But most of the scams, for like online scams, like the romance scams, gift card scams, Venmo, all those are originating overseas. They're not originating in the US. So that makes trying to get them for prosecutions and to any of that stuff almost impossible, because they're not originating in here. Check fraud, debit card stuff like that, a little better odds, because at least they're still in the country and it's happening in the country in this area, so you got a better chance of trying to find them, to prosecute them. But that's only with like check fraud and debit card stuff. But like I said, the romance scams, Bitcoin, gift card scams, mailing, anything like that, Bitcoin, stuff like that, your chances are slim, because it's going so fast overseas, and you're never gonna, trying to get law enforcement here to talk to law enforcement there, you're talking at federal level, so. Does that answer that?
Well, yeah,
Sadly,
not
yes.
the answer that I was looking for.
No, I know it's not, no, trust me, it's not the answer it's not the answer I'm looking for either, because like I said, I have to go to court, represent the bank, and it's frustrating as heck.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, do you answer questions on credit card? I think I'm being prodded on credit card things. It's Citibank, and I had two accounts. One I opened it because they said they were gonna give me $100 if I spent $1,000 in 3 months. Okay, so I put some of my timeshare maintenance fees on that, so I had around $3,000 for that account, and they never sent me the $100. So I had it taken off my account. I didn't hear from them again, and then they said, well, you have to wait so many days before we'll check it out. I called them up. They said, oh, I think it got lost. That's what they told me. So I have this other account of Citibank, and it's one I charge regular things on, but I'm not gonna be charging too much more on them again. So at the last few months, I had bought some vitamins from TV in the mail.
Yeah.
Well, they charged me $39.95 last, I haven't got the vitamins yet, $39.95 last month, then on this month's bill, 2 more $39.95s. So I called up the place, Nutra, something or other.
Yeah.
It's something from TV, I have it written down. And they said, I said, you charged me $39.95 3 times. I haven't got the vitamins yet, for the things. So they were gonna start a fraud thing to
Investigation.
take it off. So I'll just pay the bill without paying the $39.95 2 more times, because I haven't got the vitamins yet. They said, oh, it should come within a week or 2. The vitamins. They still haven't come. This was since the beginning of December.
And if you don't, just reach out to the credit card company, they'll be able to help you with that.
Yeah, okay. So I called the credit card people about the $100, and what they did was they kept putting me in this department, that department, and every department was asking more and more personal questions. Well, they wanted to know, do you have another credit card? And I says, yes, I have one with TD Bank. And they said, now what is the number?
No.
So I give them the number. What is the, I thought it was the bank, the credit card people, that department, but I think they transferred me overseas somewhere.
Probably.
Because it started getting real crackly and everything, so I I gave them too much information. Asked for my social security number, you know, we wanna make sure you're really that person. So they asked me all kinds of questions and I was giving them the things. But I think I was, and then when I finally got to talk to somebody, it was somebody in India. And I said, I just wanna know, when am I gonna get my $100 back for my, because I spent for 3 days. Well, we'll let you know. So I called up, I had given my account number for TD Bank, my credit card number. So I called them up, because I didn't want, I said, maybe somebody's gonna charge on that account. And so what they did was, when I called the TD Bank, they said, and I left my phone number, they said, we do not take calls from overseas. I said, I'm not overseas, I'm in North Andover. But somebody must have called on my account from overseas. That's the only thing I can think of, because they never said that to me before.
Yes.
This was the same, right within a half an hour after talking with them, because I said, they said, do you have another credit card? I thought, well, maybe the city isn't giving me that. You're gonna put it on that card, you know? But, I don't know, it just, I thought I was being scammed, so I saw this and that's why I wanted to come.
Of
I
course.
didn't know.
And we can talk off-site too, and then we can go over more information with you to make
I
sure
know,
you're
I
protected.
never give out information
Yes.
usually.
Never do.
But they kept on transferring me to this department,
Yeah.
that department. But I think I was talking with somebody overseas because it was crackling and everything on the
Yeah.
phone. And I said, oh no.
It's very scary.
So, you guys are more than welcome to keep the bingo blotters, thank you, say that 5 times fast. Obviously keep the gel pens, write your checks with them. Anybody has any other questions? Feel free to grab some more food, and thank you all for coming.
Thank you so much.